What's up, y'all? This is Ty. I'm here to review season 2, episodes 7 and 8. And it looks like this is the season finale of the show Harlem, which comes on Amazon Prime, starring Megan Good. All right, let's get down to it. Let's give a shout out to my lovely folks, my lovely subscribers, especially the ones watching this show. That would be Logie the Yogi, Feld Foster Dog Mom, Uma Storytime, Savannah Rivers Amore Dupree, June BLC, and Karima Khadija, and all the rest of you lovely folks. But I just specifically gave shout outs to those that were watching this show with me and commenting on watching this show, which I find to be a very funny, entertaining show, and I like that, where I feel like the acting is so cool that you feel like you know these people, and they do come across as best friends. So now, where we last left off in this episode, we saw Camille waking up in the bed with Jameson. So the whole thing was, oh my God, did she sleep with Jameson or not? Now, see, here's my thing, y'all. I know I just didn't think it was a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea to do that. I was like, that was a little odd. I mean, if they could do that, I could work with an ex. But in the capacity that they're working with, there's feelings still involved. Jameson still has feelings for her. And I don't know. I just didn't think that would be a good idea. And then this whole thing of, I like how they set up. They make it seem as if throughout the whole time she's having this guilt, and they kept showing little flashbacks of what happened that night, and he's rubbing her. They see the hands rubbing. So I like how in the episode they tried to play it off to make it seem like Camille had actually slept with Jameson. But we do find out that she didn't sleep with him, she didn't have sex with him. She took what they call a power nap. They laid in the bed and took a power nap, and she overslept. So it wasn't as bad as we thought it was, but still not a good idea. Not a good idea. Not a good idea, especially when, like I said, Jameson still has some feelings there, and he's still like, oh, you don't want me, this one doesn't want me. I just didn't think that was a great idea. But with that being said, the girls decide to go on a trip to Puerto Rico like they did back when they were younger. And, the fun begins, or so they think. Ty is there to try to relive what they did when they were a few years younger, in their 20s, act wild, go crazy. She's trying... She tried to do the Jello shots. The Jello shots wasn't working out for her. Then she wanted to do, what do you call that? The surfing, but what is it? Kite surfing. We saw that she ends up with a broken arm. So she's trying to do all these things. But then the craziest thing, she was like, she wanted to buy Coke from someone. She ended up spending $100 on sugar. Now I understand this. That was not my thing. I was like, okay, so people did that as, I don't know, sometime I could be so, I don't know. But I was like, wait a minute, they're reminiscing about this. This was the good old days of snorting Coke and having a good time. That wasn't, look at me inserting myself in things. I'm like, I don't recall that being a good time. We didn't do that when I was in college. Man, I've gotten drunk or something like that, but snorting Coke, man, I guess I was square. I don't know. But she was like saying, oh, yes, snorting Coke, the good old days, and having a good time. So she couldn't even find any Coke. I didn't really care for all that snorting Coke stuff. I didn't care for that storyline. So she was looking for Coke. She couldn't get any. She got sugar instead. Then she tried to go to the young guys and ask them if if they were selling any drugs. They told her she was too old for that. So I thought that was hilarious. But she wasn't having the time that she wanted to have. Meanwhile, Quinn runs into an old college boyfriend, Keith, and they broke up in college or whatever, but she's actually having a decent time with him. She's hanging out with him. They're getting lovely, having a lovely time together. They're about to kiss. And when they're about to kiss, who's there but her mother, Patricia? And she finds out, what is her mother doing? That's the first thing I said, what is her mother doing here? But we find out her mother is there because Angie was concerned. That's a good friend. And Angie told the mom about it. So what I liked in this is we learned that Quinn suffers from depression, as we learned from her mother, that you got this because it's in the family. It's your father suffers from depression. And so that's where you got this depression from. You got it from him. And you may need medication. Now, you don't know that about your dad because he's always showing the happy-go-lucky side of him. But she said that definitely comes from his side of the family. So I thought that was interesting. And earlier in that episode, Quinn was having the conversation with Keith, and they were, their banter was fun. It was like, have you been broken up with on your birthday 3 years in a row? And I'm like, damn, what kind of luck you got on your birthday? You got broken up with 3 years in a row. And then Keith mentioned saying about being cheated on at his grandmother's funeral. I thought all that was crazy. Also, what was going on, Angie can't seem to be loose and free and mess with the men that she want to mess with because she keeps turning down dudes because she is feeling and missing her boyfriend, Michael. And so it's like, wow, I can't seem to let loose because I'm thinking about him. So I thought that was cool. And then we see her throughout this episode trying to speak to him. And then they had a funny moment where she was there in the club and she's trying to get a signal, and she can't get a signal. She ends up on the roof, and then in pure Angie fashion, she wants to try to, I guess have video phone sex or whatever and get all nasty. And as she's about to do that on the roof, she's like, I'm up here by myself. The helicopter lights come down on her. It looks like it's the police in Puerto Rico or whatever, and you see the wind blow. That was funny. And then she ran back inside. And then when she was inside, they're telling her, oh, yeah, girl, did you know that some black girl is missing? And when she runs into Camille, she finds out she's the black girl that is missing. And speaking of Camille is having this guilt about, like I told you earlier, this whole thing with her spending the night, sleeping with Jameson, having a power nap, not doing anything sexual, but she said, should I have done that? That was too much. And I still lied to Ian about it, because when she came home that day and that night, Ian said, oh, where you been? She said, oh, we had to all meet up with Quinn, which was a lie. And she says to him, oh, I'm gonna go take a shower, because she felt dirty. So again, they were trying to play it up and make it seem like she had actually slept with Jameson, but she didn't. She fell asleep with him. She didn't have sex with him, I should say. So I like the advice that Angie gave her. Angie told her, listen, you are self-sabotaging, and you want him to find this out so he can break it with you. Stop self-sabotaging things and be honest with him about this whole thing about you not wanting to have kids and all of that. So explain it to him. And I like that Angie gave her that good advice, and she told Angie, you're like a sexy Yoda. And Angie said, oh, you mean Hoda. So I thought all of that was kind of funny. Also, while they were there, they met some women who raised their children together. And that grant project that Camille is working on, she's supposed to do this project about motherhood. And she said she was going to go back and interview those women the next day. But then she decided, she said, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I think my project, if they allow me to change the idea for the grant, it's going to be on Black Joy. So that was interesting too. But she did learn a ritual from those women. And those women stated it was something like going into the water to cleanse yourself and start anew. And that's what they do towards the end of the episode. And also, they learn in this episode, Quinn finds out who Angie's boyfriend is when she sees a picture of him. It's Mike, and it's the same guy who her mom was trying to hook her up with. And so she's like, oh, that's my Michael. And then, she said, now he's with you. And that kind of offended Angie. And then that's when Quinn also tells him that she's depressed and she's going to have to take medication. And that's pretty much how episode 7 ended. And then episode 8 begins, and that episode was the Black Joy. We're learning about the Black Joy project that's going on, and in that they're getting ready to get prepared for Camille's exhibit. Excuse me. And they're having this conversation. So Angie and Quinn are kind of out on the outs because of this whole Mike situation. And she said, listen, I won't bring him to the exhibit. I'll bring the other guy. Remember the guy that she was, I think his name is David, the guy who got the gig in Europe. And he said, come to find out the gig as him being, I guess, Beauty and the Beast, whatever, has a teacup. They said he was too urban. And I like that joke where they said, wow, I guess racism isn't just an American delicacy. And she said, no, founded in Europe and perfected in the United States. Like I said, the writers here are always very clever. I did like that part when they mentioned that. But again, Angie and Quinn have this tension. And Quinn was like, you can bring him or whatever. And then Angie told her, I think you're just jealous. And she said, well, why would I be jealous when I have Keith or whatever? And she said, and besides, when you decide, to get your groove back, and when you decide to step out on him and mess with somebody in a cab, some little joke she made that offended Angie. And Angie got upset. Angie was ready to leave, but not without getting her drink first. She got her drink. And it was crazy. And then now that makes Angie feel some sort of way. And she's like, maybe Quinn is right. Maybe I am someone that should stick with, have the wild life that I have, the out here threesomes and sleeping with this guy, sleeping around and all that. And it's like, and then she said something. She said, take for instance, Camille, how would you feel if I slept with Jameson? And she was like, well, that's different. She said, well, I did, and he was terrible. Then she said, I'm just playing. He was good. And then she never quite answered if she really slept with Jameson or not. Because Camille was like, did you really sleep with him? That was all interesting. And so we learn later on, Mike comes to Quinn's shop, and he tells Quinn that Angie broke up with him because it's affecting her relationship with Quinn. And I'm like, wow, these are really true, good best friends, that she broke up with him. And Quinn's like, listen, I don't like you like that. I don't know why she did that. But she did say, perhaps I might have been jealous because I felt like it was taking away my friendship, her being with you and this, that, and the third. But she's like, I'm going to help you get her back. But again, what I like about the show, the little jokes that was going on, her customer was worried about if it was cultural appropriation for wearing plaid. And then by the end of that scene, she's in a whole African outfit. I thought that was hilarious. Then we see Ty and Amy, the florist. And Amy asked Ty out on a date, and it looks like this. And I said, they do have good chemistry together. And she's like, maybe we should work this out. She said, let's go on a date right now. And they go to the fish place. Amy is like, I'm not like the little young things you be dealing with. We ain't having sex on the first date, none of that stuff. So in true Ty fashion, Ty gets a call from Zoe, and she's like, right after, she's like, meet me 20 minutes my place. They're about to get into it, have sex or whatever have you. Well, they started, and then she gets a text from Amy, and she's like, oh, I got to take a shower. I got to go. Now, when she goes over there to Amy's house, they still don't have sex. They just get together and they do nothing and sit around. But then she has to use the bathroom. Ty has to use the bathroom. So when she goes to use the bathroom, that's when Amy tells her, listen, I don't want you to wake my child or whatever, my kid. She said, my kid. And who's coming out of the bathroom but Zoe? So come to find out, that's Amy's daughter. So that was crazy. I'm like, you know what? That's that true sitcom silliness like that. I'm like, what are the chances of that? So they left that like that. So I'm like, Ty just can't catch a break, huh? Because I'm thinking, I was happy saying, okay, maybe this is going to work for her, but it doesn't seem like she can catch a break. Let's move on down to Camille and Ian. Camille and Ian, things seem to be going okay. He's mentioning renovating the brownstone, nice brownstone, by the way. He wants to knock out this wall and put this here. And she's like, how can you afford that when you still got to pay for Mira's, the wedding, you got to pay Mira's parents? He said, well, my parents have agreed to helping me and I'll just pay them off. And he said, then he started mentioning stuff about children and all that. And Camille don't want no children. She's not feeling that at all. And he's mentioned all of that. And she's like, oh yeah. And she got that nervous look because she don't want children. So that was that. And then I like the scene with Ian and his aunt. And his aunt Tammy told him, she said, listen, you're going to your parents with this foolishness of asking your parents to help you. And at first he told his aunt, it's none of your business. She said, well, listen, and this was fun. She said, I've been in several relationships, married a couple of times. I got money. And she, reached in, gave him a check. She said, I'm going to pay. She gave him the $68,000. She said, listen, but there's some strings attached. I need you to grow up. I need you to mature because you should have been mature enough to know you were still in love with Camille when you were stringing Mira along. And I was like, okay, good. And I like that little scene with them. And then we saw Camille having a conversation with Quinn's mom, Patricia, about, how do you know when you want to be a mom and all this. And that was a pretty good conversation as well. Really good conversation. Now we're at the big exhibit. The exhibit is a big hit. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. And at this exhibit, we see Quinn and Angie make amends, and Quinn is very honest with Angie. She tells her, listen, I was afraid that I would lose you as a friend, and I didn't want to do that. I got a little jealous or whatever, not because of your relationship, because I just didn't want to lose you as a friend. And so she surprises her by having Mike be there with the, on the carriage ride, and then they go, Mike and Angie go on this romantic date, and he has all the things that he liked. He paid attention. He has all the things that she likes and all of that. And then he proposes to her. I was like, wow, he's really in love, because he did tell Quinn earlier that he was in love with Angie. So I don't know if she's ready for marriage. I don't think she's ready for marriage at all. I think he's moving kind of fast. What do y'all think? I think he's moving kind of fast. I think he's moving a little too fast. That was too much. But like I said, the event was a big hit. The exhibit was great. The Black Joy exhibit. Dr. Pruitt is pleased. In fact, so pleased, she doesn't want to let Camille go. She tells Camille she's proud of her. Camille's mom is there. She tells her she's proud of her. And then y'all catch Jameson saying he don't want to let her go either. So I said, yeah, there's going to be some problems there. Then we see Quinn break it off with Keith. She says, that's not going to work. But Keith seems to really care for her. He's like, I will be right there, whenever you're ready or whatever. And I'm like, damn, you must really like her, because you ain't going to keep dumping me and I would be sticking around or waiting in the wings or whatever. That's not going to happen to me. I don't know. See, I'm always inserting myself in these things. It's just crazy. Then we go down to Ian and Camille. And I don't know, they get on my nerves a little bit. But this whole thing, this situation that they had, she pretty much is honest with him. And she tells him when she found out that the situation about her eggs, she wasn't devastated. Because guess what? She really don't want no children. That's what she said. And she said she was relieved, actually. And he said, we came this far. She said, I'm so sorry. And he said, no, you know what you want and I know what I want. And then it was like, are they over with? Because he said, well, we just walk away after all this. We do all this just to say goodbye to each other. So it's like, come on, you two, figure something out. Y'all can't adopt. Y'all can't do something. Y'all going to break up. Like, you want children that bad? Let's come to a compromise. Adopt a child or something like that. This, something. But something. I don't know. But it looks like they're broken up now. So now that leaves us with the ending where they're at the doctor's office. And that doctor was funny and unnecessary. She said, oh, I like that you all came here to support your friend. And, I always wanted girlfriends like Sex in the City, but, I found women to be catty or whatever she said. And I'm like, okay, too much information, doc. Just get to the point. And she said, well, I'm glad you're all here to support your friend. And she said, everything is okay. And then she said, including the baby. So one of them is pregnant. It could be any of them. We don't know. But one of them is pregnant, and we won't know until next season, because I believe this was the season finale. And also, this has only been 8 episodes. And I think last season they had 10 episodes. So that's that. So that was it. I enjoyed it, but I think we're left with a cliffhanger, if I'm correct. I believe that was the season finale that left us with all these unanswered questions. What's going to happen? Is Camille and Ian broken up for good? Will Angie say yes to Mike with the marriage? And who in the world is pregnant? Who's pregnant? What's going to happen with Ty and that whole situation now that they know that she's been messing with, that Zoe is Amy's daughter? What's going on with Quinn? Will Quinn ever find true love? We got all those things that we have to figure out. What's going on? Will Camille get with Jameson now? What's going to happen? It's a lot we need to know. So that was it. Those are my thoughts. I thought it was a good season, an entertaining show. A little too short. Maybe they could have done a few more episodes. But hey, I guess we'll just have to wait. If I'm correct, this was the season finale. We have to wait to see what happens next season. But that's all I have for now. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video.